Hello everyone, and welcome to my long overdue review of Interstellar. And if you have been watching anyone else on the internet, you know the main feelings for this film is very split. Some people claim some people say it's overly ambitious with a low expectation of what it is. Some other people say it's a modern piece of fantastic cinema, one of the best in years. And it seems like a lot of people have been like very in between of all of that. Now, one of the main reasons I didn't review this before, like for the last few weeks, is because of two things. Number one is that there's some things happening within my family, and we couldn't really do that at the time. And the second thing is that I did not want to get caught up in the hype if I reviewed this movie, let's say, a week and a half ago. Because if I reviewed that at the time, I would have been like a part of this big craze of the majority of people who were obsessed with the film. So I think the way I'm reviewing it now is kind of like after all the big hype of this, is after all that has been settled. And it seems like that for me making this review, even though it's maybe the wrong step, because it won't be as popular as some other reviews of this. But I think the advantage that my review has from other people's reviews is that this is after a long time it's been out. There's been a talk of hype and there's a talk of negativity of the film. And what is my opinion last on this film? 2 hours and 50 minutes of my time clearly were not wasted on $13. I love this film. Granted, I am aware of the problems, and granted, I will say the problems in this film are pretty big. My number one problem with the film is that I think the expositional problem, the points where it's like exposition is clearly obvious, and it kind of does like take you out of the moment. I'm like, okay, it's kind of exposition. We kind of expect that, but it took me out of the element. So I'm like, all right, there's exposition. And my other problem is that there's some moments where the film drags, where it drags for like at least 10 something minutes, and for me those kind of did stand out. And my biggest problem with the film is that it seemed like this overall message, this overall feeling is given to us, is presented to us, is love. And when that happened, I'm not joking, I just rolled my eyes and I'm just like, ugh, seriously? Love, this is a freaking Christopher Nolan film. I think what the true philosophical line goes within the film is truly of how far into technology we are, and how far are we willing to go just to go for something, just to achieve something. And especially with technology today that is so far advanced and so far well made, I think it's going in such a smart and clever and diverse direction that it's going in. Now, the exposition, the overall theme, and the I forgot my third problem was. Those are kind of minimal. Those aren't so minimal, but it's like those three things that I didn't like were kind of out of the blue for me. For not liking the film at times. But the problems with this film that even though I do have, and they are kind of big major element, they are so diminished and they are so defeated by what is good about the film. Number one, no matter what you can say about this film, either you like this film or not, it is directed beautifully. And that's something we all can realize from the Christopher Nolan films. Granted, I haven't seen all Christopher Nolan films. The Christopher Nolan films I have seen personally is the Dark Knight trilogy and Inception. And I would say, very quick over what I thought it was. Batman Begins I thought was pretty decent. Batman Begins I thought was pretty good. Dark Knight Yeah, basically everyone in my generation loves it, and that's definitely one of my all-time favorites. Dark Knight Rises, I was quite disappointed with, and I truly did really enjoy Inception. It's like for me, Inception is almost on the level for me of loving it. It's almost there, but it just has those big problems. So for me, is this the best or the worst of the Nolan that I've seen of the Batman movies and Inception? For me, it is not as good as The Dark Knight, but I will say it's almost on a fine line of Inception. And I will say is that of this film, I will say is that I love the visual style. It's just gorgeous to look at. And all the performances are wonderful. Matthew McConaughey is fantastic. There's some moments where he's just bawling his eyes out. And there's some moments when he was crying and I'm just like, please don't. I'm like, oh, damn. Like, I didn't cry at all, but it really drove me close to it. But it's like, and the whole sci-fi aspect of it is beautifully shot, beautifully made. Like, it's showing this type of underground mystiquing type of feeling for the sci-fi vibe of it. Therefore, it's not like it's so obviously science fiction like Star Trek or 2001. But there's some moments where it's definitely channeling these other sci-fi type of movies like Star Trek, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and of course 2001: The Space Odyssey, which is definitely heavily influencing this film. But I'm glad they don't like try to mimic it or try to wave across to it. Where I really admire and really respect the film for doing that. And I also really love the performances. Matthew McConaughey was fantastic. Jessica Chastain was really good. Anne Hathaway was really great. Michael Caine is excellent. Casey Affleck, I thought I was gonna hate him, but I really liked him. And it's like at first for me with Casey Affleck, I'm just like, oh boy, it's like every movie I see Casey Affleck in, I just see Casey Affleck. And this one, he actually kind of did surprise me, but he was still kind of obviously there. And Topher Grace was, for me, totally not needed. And the setup and the ideas presented here are so unique and so diversely different that I've seen before in film that I really admire the film. It's like a mix of the Tree of Life meets 2001: The Space Odyssey. And the overall themes it has within itself are never drilled into your head. They're never drilled into your head. It's not like this so painfully obvious. It's like, here it is, take it as it is. There you go, and it's up to your own interpretation. And with this film, I truly see Christopher Nolan really admiring and really understanding who watches the Christopher Nolan films and knows the people who they are. Like, he knows his films are not for children. It's like, granted, kids can watch him, but it's like mainly for mid-adults, like people 20s, 30s, and 40s, and late teens. It's like those are the fan bases. Mainly, those are the type of audiences this film is made for. His films are made for, but it seems like it understands and stretches across to everyone in the room about the thematic message, and I think it's beautifully presented. You know, a lot of people may say it's a bit too ambitious, and yeah, I kind of can see that, but it's like, you can never fault for being ambitious, because it has heart, and it has a goal in mind, and it really wants to accomplish it, and I'm just like, gosh, I really respect the film for doing that. And there's some moments where it's shot in space, where it's just so, in my opinion, just so mind-blowingly beautiful, and it's just so, like, unbelievably, and I'm personally doing it, unbelievably beautiful. Like, there's a lot of wide shots in space, but you could just see, like, the spaceship, like, kind of like in a fragment of, like, this big. It's like, when you can see the supernova, or, like, a galaxy, or something like that, when they were showing the film, it looks gorgeous, and it really sells you from, like, a really amazing, in-depth type of sci-fi movie that is truly showing passion here. And I will admit, it can get too mumbled into the story, and it gets so complex, and it gets a bit too in depth. And you can say that it kind of works against it, especially the film being a bit too overly ambitious. But you cannot fault the film for having just such a dedicated passion for itself, and I really respect the film for that too. And by the end, I was just like, I was left my mind blown. Like, there's some thematic messages and presents it across to the audience across the room, where you can spread to everyone across, like life is eternal, never give up on all these certain things. Granted, they may be done here. Granted, it's like, been here, done before. Granted, we see it here and again, but it's all about the execution. In my opinion, it executes it brilliantly, except for the overall message of love, which I admit I did roll my eyes at. I'm like, oh, God, really? But for me, it seemed like, in the end, the film was just so overly ambitious. I think my dad said it. I saw a film with my dad, and he said it was so overly ambitious, he thought it kind of worked against the film, but I thought it worked well with the film to begin with. And a lot of people say out there, the film is too long. I'm going to say to you, hey, guess what? It's a sci-fi adventure. You're going to need this type of length for it to really explain itself at times. So therefore, I feel like the length of the film is truly needed, and it's utilized brilliantly. And by the end, is like, I just remember so many positive things and so many positive messages, and in the end, it shows this overall writing of how science could prove so many certain things, but in the end, there's some things that can't be explained, and there's some things that shouldn't be explained. And it shows that fine line between the balance of knowing and not knowing certain things in science that are both meant and unmeant to be explored. And in the end, I think it's really, really beautifully done for that. Granted, I do, like, my favorite scene in the film is when they were going into the black hole, not the black hole, the supernova thing that they're speaking about. That scene, in my opinion, was my favorite, and I truly loved the film for that. And in the end, I'm definitely going to say Interstellar, it does have a share of big problems. And here's the thing, if you are a huge, hardcore Christopher Nolan fan, you may not like the movie because you will see certain things that have been done before in other Christopher Nolan films. But it's because, for me, that I don't know so much of Christopher Nolan, that I could kind of push those things aside. Or I can say, if you are very nitpicky and... Oh, my cat's just over there. It's like, if you are a true Christopher Nolan fan, if you are very, very too nitpicky, the film may not be for you, and if you don't like it, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just your opinion, and I can totally understand that. And in the end, I think the overall themes and overall ambitious message it tries to spread across is just executed brilliantly. Granted, I did say it has 3 problems. Like, it was a bit too overly long at times. It did seem like it showed us length too much, and the overall message of love was a bit too pretentious. But in the end, for me, Interstellar was a movie that I was truly highly anticipating, and in the end, for me, Christopher Nolan's Interstellar was a direct hit. It was great. I love this film. I like this film equally as much as Gravity. Actually, just a little bit more, and I think some people could be flipping their shit on hearing that, but I like this film just a little bit more than Gravity. In my opinion, one of my favorite films of the year so far. Yes, it does have some problems, but in the end, I was truly pleased and truly satisfied with Gravity. Bugger, not Gravity. I meant Interstellar. I will give Interstellar a 90%. So, that's my review, everyone, of Interstellar. I hope you really enjoyed it. I think my dinner is pretty much almost ready. And, until the next review, everyone, thank you for watching, and remember, stay strong for space travel.